Today we take a look at Joseph Kallinger. From child abuse to murder, and floating heads to severed cocks, this story has it all. We'll explore Kallinger's rough upbringing with abusive parents, how he dealt with his schizophrenia, how the devil controlled his dangle, and how he would eventually enlist the help of his son to commit heinous murders. This story is unlike any other story we've ever told, so drink a warm-up beer and brace yourselves. I'm Mike.
I'm Ian.
And I'm Dave. If you're looking for a heartfelt, feel-good holiday story, unfortunately for you, the crazy cobbler in tonight's twisted tale is no peach. This is Necronomipod.
When Kallinger's reign of terror ended, 3 were dead, including his 14-year-old son.
You murdered your own son?
Yes, I did.
Why did you do that?
He was a sacrifice. I was to murder 3 million people on planet Earth. And he was a sacrifice to see if I could murder one of my own. At the end of murdering all the people on Earth, I was going to murder my own family and then take my own life and become God.
These voices from God, these hallucinations, do you still experience them?
Yes, I do.
Often?
Often.
Do you ever feel violent?
Yes, I do.
What do you feel like doing?
Killing people.
He's cracking himself up over here.
Or jizz.
So a bear walks into a bar and he says, "I'll have a gin and tonic." The bartender says, "Okay, but why the pause?" The bear looks at him and says, "What, these? Had them my whole life."
Jesus.
That's why people come to this show, for
Yeah.
humor like that. Right?
For those classic jokes.
Yeah. So anyways, tell me if Scientology is on to us, guys. I do not follow, nor like, nor talk about, nor mention anything to do with Adidas or Kanye West or those ugly shoes that you wear, Ian.
Yeah.
My Instagram
Unnecessary jab.
my Instagram the other day, there's all these ads for Yeezys. Why?
They're cool shoes, man.
No,
Maybe they
first
just
of
want
all,
you
they're
to buy
not.
them.
No, but it's all formulated based on like what you typically like and what you're into and follow. And
Are you secretly looking at Kanye
I
West stuff?
promise you I'm not.
Probably.
Nope. I don't even follow any of those Kardashians.
I love those shoes. They're cool.
Yeah, right.
I do. They're really cool.
Those ones are the best ones.
They don't make them in wide, though, so I can't get them.
I don't know what to tell you. You got wide feet. Sorry.
I know. I'm used to it. They're still fucking cool, though.
I disagree. How much you charging for those nowadays?
What do you mean? Like, how much am I buying them for? Or
No.
what?
Well, I didn't ask. I don't even know about your methods. How much do those go for when they're fresh?
$220.
And what about those new, like, ugly, like, homeless man sweats that he has out?
Those are very expensive. You can go to Walmart and buy those for the same looking thing.
Like the Champs generic brand gray
Yeah.
hoodie and shirt.
You're just paying for that Yeezy tag on the inside.
Did you get an ad for those, too, Mike?
Not yet, but I bet we will because of Scientology. I'm telling you guys, they're on to me.
Just based off of Adidas ads.
The other day, a car followed me for like 2 blocks and then turned. I'm sure it was them. Why would they be behind me for 2 blocks?
You sound like a gang stalking.
True.
Well, great. We're going to get hate from them again.
Was Travolta driving the car? Talking about Royale and cheese.
I don't get that. I don't know what that joke is. Is that a Game of Thrones joke, Dave?
Do you really not get it?
No.
From Pulp Fiction, Royale with cheese.
Oh, I've only seen it that one time. I got hammered with you drinking whiskey watching it.
Jesus, man. Come on.
All right, I don't watch a lot of movies.
John Travolta in Game
Yeah,
of Thrones.
right.
Probably wasn't he...
I'm going to be the king.
Wasn't he like Braxton? He played Braxtus,
I'm
right?
getting on the Iron Throne. Sissy, I'm going to kill him.
You telling me they couldn't have booked that? I've been watching. Ratings would have went up.
Up your nose with the rubber dragon. Oh.
All right, that's enough Game of Thrones talk. I'm bored. What were we talking about before, though?
Best holiday movie? Die Hard. You going to watch it this year?
No, because I'm a Lethal Weapon guy, and there's a line in the sand, and you're on one side or the other. I refuse to cross that line. Also, fuck Bruce Willis. Can't stand him.
I don't understand that.
We're just not a pro Bruce Willis podcast officially.
I mean,
I don't think that's true.
he's all right.
It's okay. I have feelings. It's all right. Anyways. Oh, that's what I was going to say. You mentioned gang stalking before. Is that still the most heat we ever got over one episode? It wasn't a ton, but wasn't that the most heat we've gotten?
Probably.
From over a single subject. People got pissed on it was on YouTube, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that where
Mm-hmm.
which is just a toxic place anyways, but
Was there flat Earth blowback or no? I guess not, huh?
no, but what's funny is when we posted the flat Earth, like some of their propaganda stuff, actual flat Earth like sites were like retweeting and liking our posts.
Oh, that's
so those
right.
are some of the most liked ones that we have, even though our entire show was just mocking them.
Got to listen before you retweet, maybe.
Yeah.
That one person on Twitter like started calling us out because they thought we were promoting it, and I was like, "Did you listen to the episode?" We're very much globus. What is that? Globecucks.
Globe cock. Yeah.
Yeah, we're globecucks.
Globe tard.
Also
Or did I
that-
edit that out last time?
No, I think we kept that in. Yeah, that's because that's what they call them.
Yep.
So we got something interesting today.
This one is it's
wild.
yeah, it's crazy.
A little bit of everything in this one.
Yeah. And I think it's the standard thing we say with these type of episodes that statistically people with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, stuff like that, are not violent people. But man, when it gets violent, it goes off the fucking rails. This dude is like
Next level?
yeah, but like Richard Chase, but like amped up.
Yeah. It's good stuff. No, really, it's not good stuff. but it's insanity, though.
Yeah.
For the record, this is not good stuff. We want that to be clear. This story is terrible.
Joseph Kallinger was born Joseph Lee Brenner III at Northern Liberties Hospital in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to Joseph Lee Brenner Jr. and his wife Judith. But this is debated on if these are his real biological parents or not. It's not completely clear. In December of 1937, Joseph was placed in foster care, and on October 15th, 1939, he was adopted by Austrian immigrants Stephen and Anna Kallinger. Stephen and Anna had been married for 12 years and decided to adopt a child after they had both turned 40 years old. But this was not for loving reasons. One, Stephen was sterile, and two, they owned a semi-successful shoe store, and there would be no one there to take over the family business.
Maybe just sell it and go to Florida.
Yeah, I mean, I guess back in the day, people wanted to hand it down. I don't know.
Why do that when you can ruin someone's life, Dave?
Let's adopt this kid and fuck him up instead.
From the age of being able to understand things, it was made completely clear that Joseph was there for only one reason: to make shoes. That was it.
You will make my shoes.
When a local parent asked Anna why she wouldn't let Joseph play with the other kids, she said, quote,
He is not here to play. He is here to work and to pay us back. That's probably exactly how they sounded, too.
That was actual audio, Dave. We played the actual audio.
It's not the greatest accent in the world. It's a bit of a harsh language.
anytime that Joseph disappointed them in any way, he would be told if he did it again, they would send him back to the orphanage. If that didn't work, then he would be beaten. And we're not talking like back in the day, just getting smacked on your ass or something. Like, he would be brutally beaten with wooden spoons, homemade calf nine tails. Just really, they would beat the shit out of him.
What is that? What did you just say? A homemade what?
Cat of nine tails.
What is that?
Like a whip with the different, like 9 things hanging off of it. Pieces of leather usually, right?
Yeah.
Oh, like what my dominatrix hits me with.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
She just never told you what it was called.
No, you don't ask questions. You just take it. Plus, you can't talk with a ball gag in your mouth.
True.
Yeah.
Do you have a safe sign language word that you use?
It's usually about the time my balls tuck themselves up into my stomach and hide for their lives that it's time to call it quits, pay my tab, and get on out of there. That's not... Okay.
So Joseph got in trouble like any normal little boy would, but there are 3 specific incidents that would go on to shape things for the rest of his life, which is it's a pretty like profound thing. Is like there are 3 things that just completely fucked this kid's life up forever. At 5 years old, when Joseph came home and asked what the word fuck meant, not saying it, just asking what it meant because he had heard someone else say it. He was told he was a dirty little boy and had the shit beat out of him. And I mean, you're in Philly in the 40s, or, you know, you're going to hear someone say fuck.
Yeah,
you know?
like, 100 times an hour.
Are you saying they're an angry people?
I'm just saying. If you grow up in the city, I mean, if you're old enough to ask what it means, and you're old enough to be told what it means.
Yeah, not
I
get your
agree.
ass beat.
Yeah. I hate hearing these stories of just crushing little kids' spirits like that. It's
Yeah.
the saddest thing.
A couple months later, Joseph got in trouble for pulling a girl's pants down. And again, he was told he was a dirty little boy and beaten. The third incident, still at 5 years old, Joseph had gotten beat up by a bully at school that happened to be a girl. When he was taken to the doctor, it was discovered that he had a hernia and needed surgery. Since the Kallingers assumed that he had got beaten up for being inappropriate with this girl, when he got home from surgery, they had told him that on top of the hernia, the doctor had fixed another problem he had.
What was this other problem you speak of, Ian?
Well, they told him that there was a demon living inside of his penis causing him to be bad, and that the doctor had taken it out, which would make sure that he was never bad again or would never get an erection.
I mean, it's partially true. You may have a demon in your penis, but it's still in there, son.
It's a pretty heavy thing to put on a 5-year-old kid,
I can't even imagine. That's just...
and to drill it into his head over time.
You demon penis boy.
Is that considered an exorcism? I mean, getting the demon out?
I guess.
It's a quasi exorcism.
Do they have a priest present, I wonder?
If there was little boy penises, of course there was probably a priest present.
Oh, no. That one's no good.
I mean, I would think it would be safe to say the doctor did not know that they were going to take him home and tell him he had a demon in his penis. So
It's true.
I just have a lot of questions about this one.
the beatings didn't stop for Joseph because, like any normal child, he was still going to get in trouble. One in particular that stuck out to me that is just terrible. Joseph had his hands put on a hot stove for stealing a roll of quarters to pay other kids to go to the movies with him because he was just that lonely.
It's awful.
That is the saddest thing I think the saddest sentence ever read on the show.
As a result of this stuff, he had been using an empty metal tank as like the sort of sanctuary to get away from his adoptive parents. But this also turned into something extremely negative when he was raped at knife point by a group of 3 boys. Kind of weird. That seemed to happen a lot back in the day.
Yeah?
Like Charles Manson had been raped by other boys. I think Carl Panzram was raped by other boys. Just seemed kind of like something that was happening back in the 40s, 30s, 40s.
Just a rapey era.
I guess it was,
I never heard that. That's interesting.
yeah. Charles Manson
You've never
has
been
some
to a-
very interesting quotes about him getting it done to him and him doing it to other people to get him back.
Oh, shit.
It's pretty wild, yeah. So predictably, when Joseph started to have sexual urges at 12, he linked violence with sex. He found that he couldn't get an erection or have an orgasm unless he was holding a knife.
Need some Blue Chew, Mike.
Well, if only they'd fucking get on board. I'm a little pissed at them right now.
He said specifically his left hand. He had to hold the knife in his left hand to get it to work. And keep in mind, he fully believed that a demon was living inside of his penis that would stop him from getting erection. So when he got an erection from have just normal sexual thoughts mixed with violence, to him it was like, oh, that's the demon coming back. That's the demon working. And then soon after this, schizophrenia kicked in for Joseph. So it's just like a perfect storm.
Yeah, sure. This is the penis demon, Joey. What are you doing with that thing? Pull our pants down, Joey.
Just picturing a little face on the
Right.
tip of his cock,
Right.
talking to him, cussing him out.
I'm Peppy the penis, Joey. Put me in something. Do we know the demon have a name?
No.
Just demon, huh?
He morphs over time. Throughout this story, he goes from God to all different kinds of things start happening. Auditory hallucinations happened first for Joseph. Now that demon that was supposedly removed from him was speaking to him. With the encouragement of this demon, Joseph had started to rape other boys in the neighborhood at knife point the same way that it had been done to him.
That didn't take long.
No. By the age of 15, Joseph had become completely isolated, but somehow he managed to get a girlfriend named Hilda Bishop. Things started to look up a bit for Joseph. He had a girlfriend. He got himself a work permit, so his adoptive parents would have to pay him to work in the shoe store. They charged him to live in their house still, but he was still getting paid.
Nice, Mom.
Like we said back in our Richard Chase episode, schizophrenia would cause Richard Chase to have these like uncontrollable fits of wiggling around like a snake. Remember we talked about when he lived with those two girls for a minute in his apartment, and they would be having a party, and he would just be like rolling around on the ground
Naked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that where the worm came from? Maybe he was just trying
Sure.
to do the worm dancing.
This is exactly what had started to happen to Joseph. Then Joseph would start laughing for no reason and couldn't stop it. It was like a tic.
It's like me on that bonus show the other day.
You were out of control on that one, laughing at your own joke, no less.
Like a real deep, like
Guttural
kind
kinda-
of laugh, and he just couldn't stop it. Like he would cover his mouth and stuff. Like he didn't think anything was funny. It was just like a tic. His adoptive parents noticed this behavior, but because Joseph couldn't control it, but instead of trying to get him any help, they just put a padlock on their bedroom door and started sleeping with a baseball bat.
It's great. Parenting 101. That's what I do.
This stuff didn't stop Joseph from working in the shoe store making shoes, so they figured as long as he can still make shoes, who gives a shit?
He was a capable cobbler, right?
Fuck him. Just let him make shoes.
That's what he was brought there to do.
Serving his purpose.
Literally, that is.
That's
what
the
it
only
is.
reason he was adopted.
Did they tell him that the whole time? Probably.
Yeah, from the age that he could understand, he was told, you are here to make shoes, and that is it.
It's like the same thing they tell the kids making all those Yeezys.
Probably not far off.
Except they're not making as much as Joey was in the 40s.
Right. He was able to pay rent. Shit. He had it made.
It wouldn't be long after the tics that Joseph would have his first full-blown visual and auditory hallucination. One day while he was working at the shoe store, a bright light appeared before him, and in the middle of this bright light was a figure that Joseph believed to be God, and God told him,
Joseph Kallinger, you are a special person, and you must undertake a special mission. Already, through your orthopedic work, you are easing pain in the feet. The feet are also the key to the brain. Your mission is to control the brain through the feet. This is what I, God of the universe, command you to do. You will use this method to heal yourself and heal mankind. You must heal and save.
Heal.
That's all God had to say, huh?
yep,
All right.
heal it through orthopedics.
It's a direct quote.
At this point, his parents were terrified of him, and much like Richard Chase's parents, instead of helping him, they just sent him out to live on his own.
Oh, thanks, Callingers.
Yeah.
Bye.
In 1953, Joseph married Hilda, and this started off as the best thing that ever happened to Joseph. He got a job at another shoe store as long as he promised to never open up his own to compete with his adopted father's.
He had a non-compete on file with his dad.
Yeah. In 1955, they had a daughter, and for whatever reason, they named her after his adoptive mother, Anna. And this is where stuff starts to go downhill for Joseph.
Oh, now it gets bad for him?
Well, he gets these little glimpses of
The demon in his cock and the sweatshop working and the verbal and physical abuse. Now it gets bad.
He gets these little glimmers of normalcy for a minute, and then it derails.
You want to feel bad for him right now. And then you know how terrible shit gets. But this is a sad story right now.
Yeah, I mean, well, we'll get into it at the end, but I think that there was no hope from him from the beginning.
Peppy the Penis was making him do stuff. It's not his fault.
That's what we're going with. We're going with Peppy the Penis. New
Like
shirt
that?
coming
Peppy
to
the Penis?
New shirt coming to Necronomipod on Amazon. Peppy the Penis.
I'm sure they'll approve that.
Just a red. It's just a red cockhead.
What's with you and the red cock?
Definitely, it's a demon.
Guy with the dog dick
It's a
talking.
demon.
Guy's in love with dog dick.
No, I didn't say anything about dog dick.
I'm
do-
Peppy the Penis.
Yes.
Demon dick.
So would he not be red? He's a demon dick. What color is he to you?
I think he's a normal color, not red. Do you think he glows red when the demon comes out?
Yeah. And when it's throbbing.
Peppy's here.
Exactly. Now he's got the smoker's voice.
So almost as soon as their daughter was born, Joseph and Hilda started fighting constantly. They had another child, a son that they named after his adoptive father, Stephen, but that only made the situation worse.
Oh, that didn't fix everything? Another kid?
Throw another kid in the situation.
How is this not helping things? Damn it. What are we missing? Let's try for a third. Third time's a charm.
Hilda was not a great mom. She would leave the kids hungry and in dirty diapers all day long. And from some accounts, Joseph was abusive too. And I could see that being completely accurate.
You know you're in a shitty situation when Joseph, the dad, is the better parent of the two.
Not great.
Yeah. You were born to some shitty folks.
Yeah. So Hilda left Joseph and their kids in 1956 for a man named Hans Ebler and just lived out of this guy's car with him. He didn't
So
have
you're
a
so
house.
shitty your wife leaves you to be a homeless living in a car.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's an ego booster, huh?
Oh, seriously.
Yeah, it was just they just parked it and just lived out of the car.
Like in front of his house?
Like, well, we could park here between the hours of 6 a.m. and 2 a.m. He must have had a really red cock.
Who did the Hans Ebler
Yeah,
guy?
clearly. Now you guys got me on this red cock gimmick.
You
so-
got yourself on the red cock
I
a
did
long
not.
time ago.
I did not.
So Joseph filed for divorce, got custody of the kids, and on weekends he would take them to see his mother via train, which I don't know. I couldn't figure out if she was living in a house at that time or if he was taking the train out to just their parked car in the parking lot somewhere or
It's
what
the train station.
or what that situation was.
Oh, so they're in the car. Could they not just go to see them? And just
Also a good point.
drive your car home over here.
It's probably just on hubcaps or on jack stands or something at that point.
Yeah.
On one of the
More questions than answers in this one.
yeah
Like, what the fuck's going on with this house car?
House car.
And what color was this guy's cock? I mean, that's what we all want to know.
I think that's what you want to know.
All right, I'm done with the cock.
That's what she said.
on one of those train rides, Joseph met Betty Baumgard, who he would get married to and stay with until he went to prison years later.
Spoiler.
Well,
Yeah.
I thought he got away with it.
All right, well, we'll see you guys next week.
as far as Betty knew, Joseph was just a normal guy going through a hard time. And there were some things that she didn't know for years and years. For example, Joseph had never gotten over that whole holding a knife thing while he was having sex. So he hid a small knife next to their bed and would just like reach down and hold it.
Mike holds a stuffed squirrel inside of his bed. It reminds him of college. It's flying squirrel days.
There was no actual squirrels used in the flying squirrel actions.
Well, it's metaphorical.
Okay, all right. Can you imagine, though? You're going at it, and you have to go reach on the side of the bed and just hold on to something, and all of it's just worthless until you grab that like knife, and then you're like, oh, now we're there.
Well,
And boom goes the dynamite.
this is what I mean. It's already fucked him up for life because
Oh, yeah.
this demon is,
Controlling him.
yeah,
The good part is he's not hurting anyone, though. He's just holding the knife.
so far.
Wow.
Hmm.
Way to shit on the story.
When Joseph was 22, right after he married Betty, he had his second major schizophrenic hallucination. A figure with a black robe wearing a witch hat appeared to him while he was working at a shoe store. The figure pointed to an empty table next to Joseph and told him to watch carefully. A memory of Joseph raking leaves with his adoptive parents appeared on the table like it was playing on a movie screen. And in this memory, his adoptive father lit leaves on fire to burn them. When this memory was over, the figure in black told Joseph,
Go home at lunchtime and set fire to your house.
when it was lunchtime, Joseph went home, and again the black figure appeared, and this time flames shot out of its mouth. So Joseph went to the shed connected to his house, lit a match, and threw it in a can of paint thinner. The whole time Joseph had an erection, which in his mind meant that he was following the directions properly, since he was still connecting this whole demon living in his penis to the hallucination and what they were telling him to do. So it's like, hey, you told me to go home and set my house on fire. I'm hard right now, so I'm doing it right. I'm on the right track.
Picture McLovin, I got a boner.
So he's completely, bypassing the kind of self-preservation instinct, because where are you going to live if you burn down your own house?
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
he's all about
He's
it.
in the moment.
Yeah.
He's kind of like Peter Curtin, where he was always hard all the time. And he saw the blood and he would finish in his pants.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
remember that guy?
right. Yeah, available in the archives. Peter Curtin.
When Flora Schreiber was interviewing him later on, when he was talking about this whole incident and like the power he felt from burning down destroying his own shit, he came in his pants talking about it.
Oh man,
It's wild.
Mm.
Peter Curtin was the one. Didn't he get off once? He killed the geese or the ducks, and it was like just hearing their blood
Hit the
pour
ground.
out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or was that? Am I mixing up two stories?
No,
Didn't
that's
he
it.
attack a person too? And when he heard the blood hit the ground, it made him
Yeah.
come.
Yeah. The geese was when he was just walking through the park and he cut its head off and then just started drinking the blood from its neck.
I think we had to edit that one heavily because I played the sound like after every murder, and it was too insensitive. We had to go back and edit that out.
Yeah.
Maybe someday when we have like a $50 Patreon level, we'll release all of the edits.
All of our ridiculous
Maybe we'll
offensiveness.
release the infamous Children of God Part 1 that we
Ooh,
did.
I don't know about that.
$50 patrons, perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps.
And we can also put the
Everything's for sale.
Ian and Mike Roswell.
Yeah.
It's just the drizzling shits. We should be paying them $50 after listen to that.
So the house was destroyed, but they moved to a new one and it was blamed on an accident. Soon after this, Betty and Joseph had their first of 5 children, a daughter named Mary Jo.
Wait, so we had 5 with her and 2 with the other, so 7 total?
Yeah. 4 months later, Joseph had another episode where he blacked out and ended up in Hazleton, PA, about 75 miles away from Philadelphia, and had no idea how he got there. When he was found, he was hospitalized for 9 days, but nothing was done, so he decided to, quote, correct himself through orthopedic experiments. He had been told already.
God told them. Heal the feet and the brain, or the brain and the feet.
Yep. Joseph was fully convinced that all of his problems and the problems of the entire world could be fixed by placing a wedge in the heel of his shoe that would adjust the slant of his foot to harmonize with the brain.
So there's no answer to this, but so he thinks that God is talking to him to heal and fix the world.
Right.
And the demon cock is telling him to hurt people.
They just told him to burn down his own house.
And yeah, right. So he thinks he's hearing the devil and God both talking to him and pulling him in different directions on.
Yeah, kind of. It's
Spiritual warfare.
Yeah. And I mean, the God hallucination, it's pretty common for schizophrenic. It's pretty
It's just
common to
interesting
have
he's
like
getting
this.
both then. Like he's got good and evil telling him to do different things. The good is kind of weird. I mean, it's not fully,
It's better than being told to burn down your
Oh.
house.
right. So it's just he's got good and evil kind of that it's almost like he's battling with that.
To be fair, I mean, there's nothing like a comfy pair of shoes, so maybe it will solve the world's problems.
What are those Dr. Souls? Is that what they are? Those little gel
Little
things?
gel cushions and stuff.
Wow, you're the one with the wide feet. You tell us. You got all these custom made shoes over here. Poor guy can't wear Yeezys. Does he even know life, Ian? If he can't wear Yeezys? Dave, I'll buy you a $3,000 sweatsuit. We'll make
Thanks,
up for
man.
it.
You're all right.
It's all gray and probably it comes with like mustard stains on it.
Joseph's obsessions also started to become like hoarder-like. He installed a 12-foot bowling alley right in the middle of his bedroom, which is ridiculous. He got like obsessed with bowling and would like be practicing it all the time.
I love bowling. I'm a big fan of bowling.
Could you imagine that though, putting a bowling alley in your bedroom?
I feel like that'd be quite loud and disturbing when you
I just picture his wife Betty trying to sleep and he's just whipping bowling balls down.
strike. Hell yeah.
It's so ridiculous. He also would just go out and find random junk machinery and bring it home And he thought these were like projects that he was going to like fix up stuff, but he would just leave it, like just throw this shit in the middle of the living room and that would be that.
Starts all piling up.
Yep. As his sons, Joey, Michael, and Jimmy were born, Joseph's hallucinations continued to get worse, specifically ones about fire. A voice that Joseph believed that was the devil would now just over and over again tell him all day long, set fire to your house, set fire to your house, just nonstop. So he did all in 4 times altogether. The first 3 fires didn't do much damage, but the 4th one, when he was 30 years old, finally worked and he burned the house to the ground. He was charged with arson, but never did any jail time. And with nowhere to go, he permanently moved back into his childhood home and took over his adoptive father's shoe business.
Yeah, insurance companies generally don't like to pay out when you burn your own house down. So I don't think you got a very large settlement there.
Right. There's a good YouTube video that a doctor made that's supposed to mimic auditory hallucinations of schizophrenia. It's really scary. And
I think we've talked about
We've
this.
played that
yeah.
before. We've released that on our Twitter.
did we post
The
it to
link
Twitter?
it was one of the episodes we did.
Probably Richard Chase or something.
We'll repost it maybe.
Yeah.
We'll put it up again.
But if you listen to that and then just picture it just saying set fire to your house, set fire to your house over and over again. I
The
mean,
one we
eventually you're going to
posted-
do it. I would assume, I mean,
It's terrifying.
if you're not medicated and
Yeah, the one we posted was just voice after voice. Like you could make one out if you paid real close attention to it, but I couldn't imagine like you hear that not having like headphones in, listening to a video,
right.
and you're hearing this all day or sporadically, whenever. It's really terrifying. But yeah, we'll have to we'll repost that then.
Joseph kept making these wedges for his experience, but each one needed a test walk. So he would take these long walks at night to test them out, but he would get lonely, so he would start waking up his kids in the middle of the night to take them with him. To make it fun for the kids, he would turn these walks into what he called garbage hunts, where they would just find random shit and take it home. Which I don't know.
You're hanging out with Dad. It's fun, right?
Yeah.
Sounds safe.
Go find some shit.
Climb in that trash can, get out whatever you want, we'll bring it home.
At this time, Joseph would start to get extremely paranoid that someone was going to break into his house to kidnap his kids or steal his experimental shoe ideas. So he covered all the windows with locked steel gates, and some of them were even bolted with flat steel plates and then cemented over.
It's like that Scientology trailer, locking everyone in there.
Right.
So his family is just they're trapped in this fucking thing that he's just completely walled off. Joseph then started having paranoid delusions about his neighbors. He started to believe that the building next door, which was across the street, was the offices of State Representative Harry Comer, was actually a CIA outpost that was there to spy on him. This Harry Comer guy had known Joseph since Joseph was a baby and was even a character witness for him when he was in trouble for burning down his own house.
Joey? No, he would never burn down his own house.
I mean, what's
He's a swell
the
guy.
character witness?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
I mean,
like, hey,
Peppy the penis might burn down his own house, not Joey, though.
Wasn't Peppy the penis at one point? No, that was the other guy. That was the demon voice was shooting fire out of his mouth, right?
that was the black figure that told him
Yeah.
to burn down his house.
That guy might burn down his own house.
Yeah.
Might do that.
So in retaliation to this, him thinking that the CIA was spying on him, Joseph would start throwing ball bearings from his windows across the street and bust out Harry Comer's windows out of his building. After every time Joseph did it, the next day he would go over and help Harry fix the windows. But then the next night he would be out there right again, just throwing these ball bearings through his windows all over again.
Harry, what happened?
This is just terrible, man. We got to do something about this community. We're going to stop this. These damn kids.
Maybe it was really a CIA like MK Ultra safe house. Sounds like something that they could have put together with this guy.
Bonus episode.
How about that?
Bonus episode.
I'm not sure what just busting the windows was going to accomplish. So, I mean, after multiple times, this went on for a while, that he was just nightly busting out this guy's windows. Harry finally got just like basically bulletproof glass put in. And this kind of like, it like stumped Joseph. He was kind of like, oh, fuck, like, what am I going to do now? Like, there's other things, like, he could
What am I supposed to do now?
like, he could have Thankfully, he didn't do anything violent or anything worse.
Like burning the office down?
Yeah. But there were other things that he could have done. But now that he couldn't break the windows anymore, he was like, oh, fuck. So he covered all the windows in his shoemaking area with dark, thick screens that cut off the light, but it also cut off all the airflow. So now this guy that's extremely sick from schizophrenia and having these full-blown hallucinations is also breathing in toxic chemicals all day long. So I mean, that's just adding to this whole thing. So not long after he walled off his work area, Joseph started what he called the Hole. In 1969, he bought a house to use as a warehouse, a personal retreat from life, and a pathway to hell.
Okay.
On the command of the voice that he called the devil, Joseph forced his 5 children to help him rip up the floorboards on the living room of this house and dig a 20-foot hole into the ground. When the hole was finally done, he wouldn't let his kids back in the house again. He would climb down to the bottom of this hole with a candle and stick it in the side of the dirt. And this was like his safe space where he said that he could actually think, like things were clear for him down there. When he would get down there, he would either masturbate or defecate or both in this real weird ritual to think clearer. So just
Okay. So he's in a deep hole with a candle sticking out of the dirt wall.
right in the middle of a house.
Shitting and jerking off down there.
Yeah.
Well, so it's like a half Blumpkin then.
He's giving himself a Blumpkin or something. If he's doing them both.
It's a Blumpkin without the blowjob. A lumpkin. It's a lumpkin.
Shout out to Olivia Wilde. Friend of the show.
Allegedly a friend of the show, or a potential friend of the
We're
show.
working on it.
Then one night in the hole, it stopped being a safe space for Joseph, and he started hearing voices again. He started hearing this voice going on and on, like it was almost speaking in tongues, like it was just completely.
Shama halinka malahawala hinka hinka banana fanafo hinka.
Pretty much.
It's my interpretive speaking in tongues.
He couldn't figure out where this voice was coming from, and it was because there was no visual hallucination to go along with it, and it was just going on and on. Then he placed his hand on his throat and could feel the vibration that the voice was actually coming from him. That's fucking crazy.
It's weird. The call is coming from inside the house.
That's super scary, though.
Yeah, dude.
To be sitting there and you're like, where is this voice coming from? And you're thinking it, and it's coming from you the whole time.
I can't even imagine what it's like to. It must just be terrifying 24 hours a day.
Yeah. His experiments for shoes kept getting more and more bizarre as well. This is an excerpt from the book The Shoemaker of an interview with Flora Schreiber with Joseph concerning an experiment on hamsters.
Joseph, in what way did you take this experiment seriously?
Well, I had already done over 40,000 experiments, mostly on myself, some on my wife and kids. I even talked the mailman into allowing me to put wedges into his shoes, so I did a few on him, but I had never done experiments on animals before.
What were you going to do with them?
I was going to make little shoes for their feet and little wedges to put into the shoes. I figured I'd get a lot of information that way. I wanted an experiment on the hamsters' feet and their brains. Now, if they listened to me and did what I told them, then I would have known that the wedges and little shoes I gave them were doing good, giving them greater durability and endurance. They would be obedient to me. I'd be their master. When I got them home, I saw there was no way I could make shoes or wedges for my hamsters. Their feet were too tiny.
Wait, so you had to make a visual determination that hamster feet were too tiny to make shoes on?
Clearly. That's
Sorry, let's go back to the interview.
He needed to try it first to make sure. But I knew I could go on with the second part of the experiment, the connection between obedience and intelligence, even without the shoes. To make sure I didn't get the hamsters mixed up, I put a name tag on their right rear leg of each one. I called them Winkle, Popsicle, Jelly Roll, and Humpty Dumpty. Then I put them into a large cage with a small wheel in it. I knew the best way to test their intelligence and durability was on the wheel. If they had intelligence, they would listen to me. If they had durability, they would listen and survive. To obey is one test of intelligence. To survive is another, right?
Joseph, how in the world did you expect the hamsters to listen to you when they don't speak any human language?
I spoke to them in English like how I'm talking to you. I pulled up a chair right next to the cage and I sat down. I told the hamsters everything I was going to do. It was very important to the future of mankind. I said that they obeyed me. I told them that their feet were too small for me to make shoes and wedges, but I promised to make them little hats and suits.
Can you imagine this scene? This guy just sitting here explaining this to these
This is the best part of the story right here.
And he's so probably passionate about this.
Oh, yeah. He's probably telling them, like, straight
I'm
up.
sorry I can't make you shoes and wedges, but I promise I'll make you hats and suits. But I promise to make them hats and suits, even though I'm not a tailor. If they listened and survived, Flora, they understood every word I said.
What did the hamsters answer you?
Nothing. That was my second disappointment with them. First, I found I couldn't make wedges for their feet. Then I couldn't get them interested in my experiment. They didn't even perk up their ears when I told them about the hats and the suits. But I knew they understood me. They played foxy to throw me off my guard. They didn't listen. They didn't seem to want to get it. While I talked, they ignored me.
I tell you what, those hamsters would look pretty fucking sharp in those little tailored suits.
I picture him doing like a, hello, my lady, hello, my darling, hello, my old-time gal.
I like the random names he picked.
Yeah.
Humpty Dumpty.
Jelly roll.
Yeah. She's like, well, how did you expect them to understand you? Look, lady, I'm talking to them in English like I'm talking to you. What the fuck do you think? They're going to understand me.
I'm not speaking Chinese.
I feel like he's getting like offended that she's asking these
Right.
questions. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I like that.
Toots?
I like the line about when she's like, what did they answer you? And he's like, nothing. That was my second disappointment with them.
First, I found out I couldn't make little tiny ass shoes. Now they're not responding to me. They didn't even perk up when I told them about the suits and the hats.
Yeah,
They're getting free suits, for Christ's sake.
Do they not understand this? Free. I'm not going to charge them later.
The material's so cheap.
So, in response to being ignored, Joseph forced the hamsters to run on the wheel and would poke them with a pencil for hours until they died from exhaustion.
Oh, jeez.
It's an important detail for two parts. One, because God's going to bring the hamsters up to him later on in this episode. And two, this is the first time that Joseph had ever killed another living thing, and this would set him on track for to commit murder.
Milestone. All right.
Yep. Sometime while in the hole, while he was doing his thinking ritual,
Lumpkining.
yeah, he got the idea that it was time to start punishing his children the way that he had been punished. Because things with his kids and the way that they were raised, they were just absolute terrors to deal with. They would just be committing legit crimes from a very young age. Like, they were just kind of left to fend for themselves. And we'll see later on how Joseph would just take them out to instruct them to commit crimes themselves. But yeah, they would be like snatching purses and all kind of shit. So Joseph set up his basement as like just a straight up torture dungeon to punish his kids. As physically punishing his kids got worse, the hallucinations started to change as well. The same God figure that appeared when he was 15 showed back up and told him,
Joseph, I control you now.
and from this point forward, Joseph felt that he had no choice but to listen to what this hallucination told him to do. He was able to resist the others, like the devil one sometimes, because he would get these things constantly telling him stuff to do, and he would be able to resist some of them, be like, that's the devil telling me to do something. I'm not doing it. But now this was God talking to him, so he felt that he had to listen.
Look, when God speaks to you, what you going to do, right?
I guess when God straight up tells you, I control you now.
Yeah, can't ignore God.
I don't disagree.
See?
Heal. I've seen miracles happen on Ernest Angley.
Happens all the time.
He makes people's people can hear again. He makes their back pain go away.
Yeah.
It's on every night on the local channel, on channel like 55.
Does he still is he still on TV?
I think he is, actually.
It's kind of amazing that the hospitals never hired him to do work, in the ER, in the oncology department or something.
Hospitals didn't have enough
weird.
faith for him. And his 18-inch ears. And his 90-some-year-old ass.
And his red cock.
You said that one, not me. I was over it. This portion of the episode is brought to you by Blue Chew, an unpaid sponsor of Necronomipod.
Can even get 100-year-old Ernest Angley hard.
They could probably. I'm sure they could. They probably could. Well, maybe not.
We're gonna get a cease and desist from Blue Chew here.
We're giving them exposure, free exposure. That's what they want.
With the abuse getting worse, Mary Jo and Joey ran away from home to escape Joseph. They had been gone for 2 days before Joseph went out to look for them. He grabbed his .44, got a taxi to drive him around until he found them. When he saw them coming out of a movie theater, he just straight up pointed the gun in both their faces and told them to get in the car. When he got home, he told his wife to take the other kids out for pizza.
Who else do we know that used a 44, Mike?
We just, Son of Sam.
Nice.
Boom.
Good
bring
job.
On, bring on the next trivia. I'm ready. Smoke some motherfuckers. Send me your t-shirts.
When they left, he handcuffed Joey to the refrigerator and dropped a butcher knife on the floor next to him, just out of reach, and it was pretty much just to scare him. Then he took a spatula from the kitchen and a rope, forced Mary Jo to strip, and then tied her up. After that, he put the spatula on the stove. He left it there until it got super hot, and then he burned Mary Jo on the inside of her thigh.
Yikes.
He then pulled off the head of a hammer and beat Joey with the wooden handle. And then Joseph went to the basement and, quote, corrected himself with orthopedic experiments.
Yeah, your fucking feet hurt from beating your kids for a couple hours.
You're on your feet all day. Are you tired from beating your kids? Come on down to Joseph's Foot Shack. All kinds of orthopedic experiments to make you light and comfortable on your feet.
Well, I forgot to include it, but there's witness testimony of someone that knew Joseph when he was a kid, that his adoptive mother, Anna, hit him in the head 4 times with a straight up hammer, like the hard end of a hammer, like the metal end. So when he did this to Joey, he was like, I'm not doing it as bad as I got it, kind of thing. Yeah. So be thankful, kind of. But then he, like I said, he felt bad about what he did, so he went down and tried to fix himself with his orthopedic experiments. And after he was done, his wife called and he told her to come back, and they all sat down and ate pizza.
Yeah, that's nice then. All's well.
Stroking out over well. There. I don't mean the good kind. Oh, I wonder what kind of pizza they got. Now I'm hungry. For the record, are you guys Hawaiian pizza fans? We've never discussed this.
No.
Awesome. We're on the same page. We're a united front. If you put fucking pineapple on your pizza,
you're savage.
I don't think I want you listening to Necronomipod.
I don't know about that.
That's a bold call. I'm not going to go that far.
I want to have words with you. If you put pineapple on your pizza, it's disgusting. I had it one time and I threw up. It was so bad.
You literally threw up.
I, honest to God, threw up.
The pineapple exited your stomach and came back up because it was so
but
bad.
I threw it up. It was disgusting. It was
sure
disgusting.
You didn't have like a stomach bug or something?
Can't prove it, but all I know is I had pineapple pizza one time and I threw up that one time. It's disgusting. Pineapple
or ham and pineapple?
I think it was like a Hawaiian, like a ham and pineapple. But the pineapple is what got me. You know who likes pineapple on their pizza? Dwayne The Rock Johnson. You know whose ass I'm going to kick? Dwayne The Rock Johnson's.
Yeah. All right.
Come at me, bro. Fucking shove a pineapple up your ass. People's pineapple. Favorite pizza topping? You get one. Go.
Pepperoni.
Sausage.
I'm a pepperoni, I think, too.
If I had to pick one, yeah.
I thought you were going to say mushroom. I like mushroom, Dave.
I do like sausage and mushroom.
Yeah. I'm just a straight pepperoni guy.
Yeah.
I can do a supreme, like I like supreme. I can do a meat lover sometimes. Anyways.
It's acceptable.
Okay.
It's no fucking pineapple.
Just, get the fucking fruit out of here. I don't have time for that. I do like a good, and it's a spin-off, but like a buffalo chicken pizza. It's real good. It's real good.
Yeah.
Have you had buffalo chicken pizza? Yeah. East of Chicago's is amazing.
That's pretty good. I've had it at your house. That's pretty good.
All right. Sorry. You got me on a pizza kick.
So this whole incident with the spatula could have been a lot worse because Joseph didn't follow God's orders or God's true orders. God had told Joseph to put the burning spatula into his daughter's vagina.
What kind of God is this?
Yeah, God's talking some crazy shit right now.
Hashtag not my God.
About a week after this incident, Mary Jo, Joey, and Michael went to the police to report what had happened, and Joseph was arrested for child abuse. After this, Joseph's children became a part of his delusions. To Joseph, they turned into what he called the three total gods who ran his life. And he was really afraid of some of them and then had a lot of respect for others. It's a very bizarre dynamic happening in his head right now. Joseph received a suspended sentence for beating Joey and was put on 4 years psychiatric probation for burning Mary Jo. He was regularly required to see a psychiatrist, but just after a 5-minute meeting with the doctor, they decided nothing was wrong with him, and that was the end of it.
Who's this, Ed Kemper's doctor?
Nah, he's fine. Get him out of here.
And since Joseph spent time in jail, his business got a bad name and sales went down. So in order to get money flowing back into the household, Joseph convinced his children to completely recant what they had told the police. And his kids didn't do this out of fear. They just thought it was fun to lie to the police.
For the thrill of fucking telling the cops to fuck off.
Yeah.
It is pretty sweet to lie to the cops, though.
They're like, wait, we get to lie to the cops?
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah, let's go do this.
Yeah. Because like we said, that he just raised this like straight up fucking like pack of heathens with these kids.
It's also really sad. You know, we just touched on it a paragraph ago, but he finally gets to meet a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
The one thing he's probably needed his whole life. 5 minutes. Oh, you're fine. Get out of here.
Right.
That could have changed this whole story.
Yeah. Yeah, it really could have.
I mean, we wouldn't be doing the show if they would have fixed that.
If they would have kept him on that probation and actually done something.
Yeah. Got him some help that he might have needed, some counseling, some medication, whatever.
Yeah, some medication.
At this time, the commands from God also changed for Joseph. He was now told to destroy the world that he had failed to save through orthopedics. Specifically, he was to murder every single person on the planet by destroying their sexual organs. And then when this was done, he was to kill himself, which would result in him turning into God.
Interesting.
So,
The shoes aren't working, Joseph.
yeah. The wedges are not.
The wedges are not successful.
So to become a god, Joseph would need the help of a god. So he brought along his 12-year-old son, Michael, because like we said, he considered them the three total gods, or he was one of the
makes
three.
sense.
According to Joseph, Michael was enthusiastic, ruthless, and had a much bigger penis than Joseph.
Well, it comes with the name, guys.
Because that's so Michael would be perfect for the job. Because that is one thing Joseph, that he did have like a really small penis, and that was that's something that goes on through his. Well,
How is that a fact that we know?
it goes on through this story. I'll bring it up later on.
Mike wants to know if it was red, though.
Was it like a little red, like so? It was a little dog cock. Is what he had.
Sure,
A red dog cock. Nothing like us, Michaels.
So according to Joseph, God said,
The destruction of the hamsters was the beginning. You continued by burning Mary Jo's thigh. Only you were supposed to shove the hot spatula up into her vagina and guts, but you chickened out and only burned the soft flesh by her vagina. Now the time has come for you, with Michael's help, to kill 3 billion people. It's a lot of people.
yeah, and like I said, this is where the hamsters would tie back in, because he failed with that experiment as well.
You didn't build them suits.
He failed hamsters so bad, man.
And committing crimes with, like we said, committing crimes with his kids was not a new dynamic to the family. Joseph would regularly take Joey out at night to spray paint the front of his school, and would send Joey out to commit crimes for him, which, I mean, at 12, 13 years old, that does sound kind of fun. If your dad woke you up in the middle of the night and was like, hey, let's go fucking spray paint your
Sounds
school.
awesome.
Dave did that without his dad waking him up.
Incorrect.
Statute of limitations are over, Dave. You can admit to all that now.
So Joseph called sending his kids out to commit crimes delegating. Joey was the Kensington delegate, and Michael would take care of the suburbs. Together, Joseph and Michael would take buses out around Pennsylvania and New Jersey and rob houses in the middle of the afternoon. And his wife, Betty, would know full well what they were doing, and sometimes would wake up and make breakfast for Michael and Joseph before they went out to do this shit.
Regular crime family, then.
But, I mean, it's also, too, she's probably really scared of him.
I would suspect, yeah.
And you're living in this house with steel plates that have been concrete had concrete plastered over him and stuff.
And little 12-year-old future felons.
Yeah. On June 26, 1974, Joseph told Michael that he wanted to kill someone and that Michael was going to be the one to do it with him. And according to Joseph, Michael said, quote, "Glad to do it, Dad." And I think...
Gave him a little punch on the arm. You're swell, kid.
I think going forward, take what Michael does with a grain of salt, like the way how Joseph says that he was so enthusiastic to do this stuff. I don't think that that's accurate. I think this kid was probably terrified.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine so.
About a week after Joseph told Michael this, he pulled him aside and told him that today was going to be the day they were going to go kill someone. At about 6 p.m., they found a 10-year-old boy named Jose Kallinger near the Man Recreation Center. They told Jose that they needed help carrying boxes of ribbon and they would pay him if he helped. They led Jose to an abandoned rug factory nearby and attacked him. They stripped him of his clothes, bound his hands and ankles with cord, and using a shoemaker's tool, Joseph cut his penis off and they let him bleed to death.
Jesus Christ.
After the boy had died, Joseph put his severed penis in his pocket and took it home. He sealed it in plaster, but when it started to smell after a couple days, he went outside and threw it in the sewer. And he was never suspected of this crime. I mean, they were never seen with this. It's just a random crime.
Yeah.
So when people talked about it in the neighborhood, Joseph said he acted like a, quote, outraged citizen.
Oh, I bet he did.
And eventually Jose's murder just turned into a cold case and was kind of forgotten about. The day after this murder, Joseph told Michael that they were going to kill more, and according to Joseph, Michael just said, quote, "Good." Joseph also claimed that after this, he just completely forgot that he killed Jose. And it's kind of up for debate with it if you want to, if he's compartmentalizing it and not making excuses for it, or if he really did forget, because there are rare cases of schizophrenia where people can have brief episodes of amnesia. So,
God, how can someone this crazy function out in the world,
yeah, it's, the only thing he could do was make shoes.
I guess
Not for hamsters.
Well, no, but
I guess the shoe thing's on autopilot and he just,
yeah,
it's this extracurricular activity.
So about 2 weeks later, Joseph had a vision. Think of it like not a full-blown hallucination that was interacting with him, but it's like a daydream that to him is like physically playing out in front of him. So it's like watching a movie, but it's actually happening in front of you. In this vision, he saw a boy being thrown from a mountain, and when he saw this, he got an erection. So like we said before, when he gets hard, then he's on the right path.
Things happen.
So Joseph was then told that he needed to throw the boy, he wasn't sure who the boy was yet, off a cliff, and he would find the location in a brochure. He had a brochure sitting next to his bed for travel locations because throughout this, he was trying to be a dad to his kids. I mean, there were moments where he was trying to be a good person, and he was planning a day out with his sons. So in this brochure, he saw a picture of the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon, which I did not know exists.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know if it's like a big hole in the ground in Pennsylvania.
Like, well, shit, this is our Grand Canyon. Those motherfuckers come here and pay us money to see that.
I've never heard of that.
That's how they talk in Pennsylvania, I know.
Oh, yeah?
We're 2 hours from the border. I mean, well, you grew up, close to the border there.
Yeah, right
That's how
outside
they talk,
Pittsburgh.
right? They come here and pay us to see our big asshole. That's how I imagine they talk.
Bring your red cock over here to our big asshole.
I don't know. Why would they be talking about a red cock, Dave? That doesn't even make sense in the story.
So as soon as he saw the picture of the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon, he knew that this was the place. God told Joseph that he needed to kill his own son Joey, and for a couple reasons. First, because he spent so much time disciplining his children, he had failed at the orthopedic experiments. So now it's weird that this God thing, it's like flipping it on him, It's like you are going to be punished now because you failed for, these experiments. It's weird. And second, if he could kill his own son, then he would have no problem killing everyone else in the world.
Well, I mean, the same thing happened to Abraham, right? And now we consider him the father of the 3 biggest modern religions in the world. So
It's that. I mean, I don't know.
God told Abraham to kill his son. He was about to. God stopped him, and he was the founder of Judaism and Islam, right? It's the same person.
You know more about that than I do.
Yeah, you're our resident Bible expert.
They all look back to Abraham. What, it was okay back
But
then?
yes,
it's not okay
it's the
now?
same story. I mean, he was told, kill your son.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sure that he got this in his head somewhere because his parents were religious. So
Yeah,
I'm sure
of course.
he got that in his head at some
Yeah.
point, and this is all just kind of trickling down. So, according to Joseph, Michael had already suggested that Joey be their next victim because Joey and Michael just straight up fucking hated each other. So, supposedly, Michael was 100% on board with
And
killing
how
his
old
brother.
are they? How old are they now?
12, and Michael's 12 and Joey's 14.
Jeez. Fuck yeah, Dad, let's kill him. Fucking hate that guy.
That's how
Michael-
Joseph tells it.
12 and 14.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Man.
So on a Sunday afternoon, Joseph took his 3 sons to a bus station to get a ride to the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon, but they all took too long in the bathroom and missed the bus. So
Details, right?
They just had the shits? Like, I don't understand what that...
I don't know.
They all took too long in the bathroom? Like, not one of
how
them was out there like, hey, fuckos, the bus is here. Zip up and get out.
I don't know. Maybe
Like-
the kids were running around being bad, and
It's just like a line of stalls, and they're all in them, just shitting their brains out. They had
Yeah.
some bad pizza the night before, I guess.
They're breathing in all those fucking toxic fumes.
Yeah. Probably had hamster on their pizza the night before.
so instead of this, they went to explore the mines of Pennsylvania, and I mean, he just figured a cliff's a cliff. What's the difference? So as Joseph was making the decision to throw Joey off the edge of a mine, he had a full-blown vision standing in the bus station. In this vision, he saw himself laying naked on the floor, and Joey was throwing tree branches over his body. Joey lit it on fire, and as Joseph burned, his face melted off, and Joey sat down in a recliner smoking a cigarette. Because Joey was also a 14-year-old chain smoker, too. Like, he would just...
He was.
Yeah. So when they got to the mine, Joseph was ready to go and push Joey off. But when they got there, he lost his erection, so it was not time to do it. Because he was hard this whole entire time.
Blue Chew should have sponsored this episode.
should have. So this whole time he's camping with his kids. He was hard.
Yeah.
And then it was just at the moment he was about to kill, boop, went down.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
They just hung out the rest of the day and walked around the mines and then went home. That was...
Old limp dick with his kids.
Yeah. The next idea was to burn Joey alive in an empty truck container that was being stored in a parking lot near their house. Like we said, Joey was a chain smoker who loved to flick his cigarette butts. So Joseph figured he could trick his son into burning the truck container down with gasoline for fun. Because like we said, they love to do bad shit. So he'd be like, hey, let's go burn down this fucking truck trailer.
Fuck yeah, Dad. That sounds awesome.
And when Joey flicked the cigarette, they would lock him in. On the night they planned to do it, Joseph started doing that tick again where he would laugh and wiggled around like a snake, and that hadn't happened to him in 20 years. After it stopped, he got Joey and Michael and gave them the gas to go burn down the truck container. So he's like, here, guys, go ahead and go burn that shit down.
I'm done doing the worm. Let's get to business.
Just as they thought, Joey thought it was funny to flick his cigarette butt to start the fire, but Michael was too short to lock the door. So instead, he wedged it with a milk crate and ran home. Joseph and Michael watched as black smoke came from the parking lot. But to their surprise, a few minutes later, Joey came walking up all covered in black ash and shit.
Still not getting the hint.
No, that they were trying to kill him.
Right.
What's up, guys?
He was able to kick the door down because the milk crate wasn't wedged tight enough. And he thought Michael just got scared and took off.
I'm going to just shoot this kid. A lot of intricate planning here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this one almost it worked just like they planned out. They figured this kid would think it's hilarious to flick his cigarette and burn it down.
Let him do it to himself.
So the third attempt would be in a condemned building not far from their house. Joseph and Michael told Joey that they were going there to take some spooky pictures, and they would bring some locks and some chains for props. Joey was all about this idea, so off they went to
Yeah, sounds good.
take their spooky pictures.
This pack of fucking Lucky Strikes in his back pocket.
So on July 28th, 1974, in the basement of this building, they found a ladder sitting next to a muddy pool of old water. For a picture, Joey stood against the ladder and let Joseph and Michael chain him to it. Still not really getting the hint here that
Seriously, dude, get the fuck out of here. They don't want you.
And Joseph just tipped it over into the pool of water and watched Joey drown.
Hey, you know what would be a funny picture? Let's put this in the water. You face down, and you act like you're struggling, and we're going to get a bunch of photos. Meanwhile, they just fucking tiptoe out of there. The poor kid's just struggling.
Yeah, this is nuts.
We're laughing about it. It is the death of a
Yeah.
kid. But
Yeah, I mean, it's a dad and a brother killing, They then picked up the ladder, unchained Joey, and just left his body there. And as they were walking away, according to Joseph, just like the murder of Jose, he just completely forgot what he had done. Just like, I think Flora Schreiber said it was like he was trying, like more of a compartmentalization on this one. Like he didn't really want to kill his own kid. Like the him that was trying to be a normal did not want to really go through with this.
It's amazing what the brain can do.
Yeah. So Joey was reported missing by Betty that night, but his body wasn't found until 2 weeks later by a detective named Ed Funk. Since Joseph had a past of child abuse, he was considered suspect number one. On the day that Joseph was told he was the prime suspect, he was walking down the same street where he had killed Joey when off in the distance, he saw a head of a boy floating. Just picture this whole scenario because this is fucking scary. Joseph tried to ignore it and kept walking, but the head followed him. So he's like looking back and this floating severed head is like, he described it as like bobbing, like it's just like going through just following him. When Joseph had got to the door, the head caught up with him. This hallucination was just a head with no mouth and no nose, with pale white skin, and its eyes were filled with red veins. And this head was just staring right at Joseph. So he unlocked the door and threw his keys at it and ran inside.
threw his keys.
Get away from me, head.
Later on, Joseph was working on his shoes when the head came back. And even though this head didn't have a mouth, it spoke to him in a high-pitched voice and said,
My name is Charlie. I belong to you, and you belong to me.
And then it just disappeared.
That's terrifying.
Absolutely.
Jesus.
The next time Charlie showed up was during an interrogation by the police regarding Joey's murder. So while the police are talking to him, all of a sudden Charlie just floated up behind one of the police officers' shoulder and said, quote,
Every cop in the room would love to see you in your coffin.
According to Joseph, he just yelled at Charlie and told him to shut up. And the police officers thought he was talking to him. Like, what the fuck? So the police officer got pissed off and Charlie said,
That pig thought you told him to shut up. Oink, 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 oink.
I can't imagine this hallucination because it's terrifying, but like the police must have been like, they already had like a really, really fucking strong hunch that it was him.
Yeah.
And then he's sitting there acting all like you would assume if you're sitting there talking to him, he's probably like looking over your shoulder, like, what the fuck? Like,
It's like having conversations with an imaginary friend.
yeah. So after this interrogation, the police still had nothing solid on Joseph, so they let him go. And also around this time, Betty got pregnant again and gave birth to a daughter named Bonnie, which just blows my mind that they're still...
Did she think he had anything to do with killing Joey?
I don't think so.
Didn't suspect him at all.
They never do, Dave. They never do.
The wife?
The spouses.
Yeah. So like, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary.
Yeah, no, he's a normal, swell guy.
Bonnie was born with a rare skin condition that caused purple patches all over her skin, and there's no cure for it. So one night, Joseph had a full-blown hallucinatory vision that gave him the answer to cure his daughter's condition. This is a fucking crazy vision. Like, this is something straight out of like a horror movie. In this vision, Joseph was walking down a long corridor with a crystal wand in his hand. Suddenly, tons of golden shoelaces fell from the sky, and then angels appeared and started singing. So after these angels were done singing, a headless, naked woman appeared, and sitting where her head should have been, there was a demon with an erect penis. This woman...
Stay with us on this one, folks. We're going to get through some stuff here.
This woman's whole stomach was cut open, and hanging from her nipples was a small man with bat wings and a frog's head. This small man also had an erect penis and was trying to put it in the open wound that was going down the front of this woman. And then playing, like smacking at this small man's feet, was Joseph's baby daughter Bonnie, who was laying in the woman's intestines.
Lots to unpack there. Yeah,
this is a visual.
Yeah. Joseph heard fire and turned around to see a pathway of people on fire chained to the ground, and their arms were stretched out like branches of trees. On the ground around these people were just a bunch of empty shoes just dancing around these dying or these burning people. Then appeared the face of what he thought was the devil, and it morphed into a vagina. The vagina told Joseph in a seductive voice,
I know what will cure Bonnie. Take my fluid, mix it with your semen and with perfume, and put the liquid on Bonnie's sores.
That's a seductive vagina. Yeah.
So Joseph took this vision as absolute instruction. So he sent out to find vaginal fluid. So. I didn't know any other way to type it.
Dun, 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 dun.
This is really a Blue Chew episode.
The quest
How
begins.
The fuck did we not get them for this? Are you in search for vaginal fluid? Try a Blue Chew. Guaranteed to make that fluid come.
Jesus. So since Joseph didn't remember that he had killed anyone so far, he told Michael that they were going to go find someone to get vaginal fluid from, and then they would kill this woman to start off their murder spree. With a butcher's knife hidden in a brown paper bag, Joseph and Michael got on a bus and went to Lindenwold, New Jersey to find someone.
Nothing going on here. Just me and my boy and a bus ride to find vaginal fluid.
Got a brown paper bag, probably with a knife like poking out the bottom of it.
Fuck you looking at, lady. Get out of here.
Oh, man.
As they were looking for a house, Charlie showed back up. And when Joseph told Charlie to get the fuck out of there, go away, Charlie said,
Joseph, you old horse's ass. Chicken brain. Fuck her up. You're a real laugh. You know that? If you're going to be God, then I'm the Holy Ghost. And I'm going to fuck that Virgin Mary.
Nice.
I just
Get you some, Charlie.
That's why I imagine Charlie is just Joseph being like, "Fuck, man! Like, leave me alone!" Like, just being so mean to me all the time.
I kind of picture him as Charlie Day from Always Sunny. You guys don't want? You guys watch that show?
Mm-hmm.
You watch it. You don't watch it too much.
I do not.
He's got a high pitched voice too, so it works.
So after Charlie said this, the pupils in his eyes turned white, and he just faded away while laughing. As this was going on, Michael walked up and said that he had found a house. Michael had gone to a house and asked a woman if she wanted to buy tie clasps.
Tie clasps?
I don't know. Is that like that little clip, I guess?
Like a tie clip,
I guess,
imagine.
yeah. They used to sell those door to door.
I think they sold everything door to door back then.
Yeah, that's probably true.
When she said her husband didn't wear those, he asked if he could talk to him, and she said he wasn't home. So he's like, boom, there's my house.
Yeah.
Joseph went to the house acting like he was mad with Michael. And he was like dragging him along and asked the woman if Michael had tried to sell her something. And she kind of was like, all right, this seems weird, and tried to close the door on him. And Joseph just pushed his way into the house. Joseph took her up to a bedroom, stripped her clothes off, tied her wrists and ankles to the bed frame, and put a pillowcase over her head. They went through the house. Him and Michael went through the house stealing valuables. Then Joseph told his son he wanted to be alone with the woman. And once Michael was gone, Joseph had another vision. Joseph looked over into the corner of the room and saw the figure of a man. When this man turned around, Joseph realized that this man was his double. This double of Joseph pulled out a knife and started stabbing it in and out of the stomach of a nude woman. Before Joseph could replicate this vision, he needed to get the vaginal fluid from the woman that was tied to the bed. Just as he was about to rape this woman, he lost his erection and the visions just disappeared. Joseph just rubbed his penis against this woman's vagina until he had somewhat of an orgasm. And then using his finger, he got vaginal fluid from her, mixed it with his semen in a rubber glove, and then took a bottle of her perfume. And since this vision instructing him to murder vanished, he was like, all right, well, I'm not supposed to kill her, so he just left.
So no masks or anything, right?
Oh, no. No, absolutely. He dressed up in a full suit when he went to do this shit. He was completely, yeah, he was.
Don't we get to that later on? And I was like, wait a minute, why the fuck's he taking off a shirt and tie?
No, yeah, he's dressed. He's fully dressed up for these things.
Well, he wants to look nice. I mean, if you're going to sell tie clips door to door, you're going to look professional, right?
Show off the tie clips.
You're going to wear
right?
a tie clip. Plus, he wanted to wear his fancy shoes. I'm sure. His
Got all the
orthopedics.
wedges. Yeah.
So when he got home, he mixed everything together with warm water and applied it to Bonnie's skin for a week. It's pretty gross.
That's where I check out.
When that didn't work, I mean, obviously that's not going to work. So when it didn't work, Charlie came back to taunt Joseph and then told him to go with Michael to go out the next day, find a house, and just kill whoever was inside. So Charlie's not giving the best advice here.
I'm starting to think that Charlie's a real troublemaker.
Charlie doesn't have Joseph's best interest in mind.
I don't think he does.
The next day, Joseph and Michael went to Susquehanna Township, Pennsylvania, and found a house. The night before, Joseph had a vision again with his double, who he now called the Supreme Power. So we got another character in here. It's his twin, the Supreme Power. So the Supreme Power was pouring lighter fluid into a woman's eyes, so Joseph figured that's what I got to do. At 11:30 a.m., the two of them broke into a house while a woman who lived there was gone shopping. When she got home, Joseph surprised her by jumping out with a gun.
What do you think the father-son banter's like while they're waiting for the woman to get home?
I don't know. I picture this as Michael is just forced to go along with this, like probably terrified of his dad. Like, because I mean, you got to think Joseph just stops and has these visions, like he's just staring off into nothing.
You already killed your brother.
But I was going to say, like, he seemed eager to kill his brother.
But we don't know for sure because, we'll get into later, Michael's never talked about any of this publicly. So we don't really know. I would assume that this kid has some sense of fear of his father.
Yeah.
Do you think while they're waiting in the home, like, Michael's like, Dad, she's got some Oreos. Can I have some? No, put them the fuck away. We're waiting to kill some people. Dad, I'm hungry. No, you can't have her fucking Oreos.
You'll spoil your dinner.
Yeah. Now go hide in that fucking closet with his gun. Do as I say.
So again, they tied her to the bed, but this time Joseph put cotton balls that were soaked in lighter fluid on her eyes and then covered them with tape.
Oh my God.
Also, like the last time, the Supreme Power was instructing Joseph on what to do, which this time was to set the woman on fire. As he pulled out the bottle of lighter fluid to do it, the vision disappeared, so Joseph stopped. As Joseph was getting ready to leave, the doorbell rang because this woman had planned a luncheon that day. As people started to show up, Joseph and Michael attacked them and tied them up with wire hangers. In total, they had 4 people tied up with wire hangers and the woman tied to the bed with lighter fluid soaking into her eyes. Then Joseph had another vision. So that's what I mean with him just stopping and staring. Like, picture this, you're tied up on a floor. You don't know if this guy's going to like fucking kill you or what. And then he just stops and just stares off into the distance. Joseph watched as the Supreme Power walked out of the kitchen to a table where it was set for the luncheon. The Supreme Power laid down 4 women, cut off their breasts, cut down their torsos, and then started pulling out their insides. The Supreme Power then removed their eyes and tongues and put everything in pans.
I just picture the Supreme Power grinning at Joseph, like looking at him sideways while he's doing all this, winking at him.
Supreme Power was my nickname in college.
Is that right?
Yeah. They're like, oh, that's Mike. He's got the Supreme Power in his pants.
Never heard that one before.
Well, why would you, though, Dave? You don't, I don't think, speak with all of my
True.
sexual encounters in college.
True.
All 854 of them. No one's counting.
The Supreme Power took these pans into the kitchen and then immediately turned around and walked back out carrying golden plates with all these women's insides and their eyes and everything arranged like a meal. But now the Supreme Power had turned into what Joseph called the perfect waiter. The perfect waiter then brought out a big silver plate with the 4 women's heads arranged facing outward. So it's like, you know.
In a circle.
Yeah. And they each had an apple in their mouth. In the middle of the 4 heads was Charlie, who just looked up at Joseph and winked.
That's awesome.
Think how fucking how scary that is. There's 4 severed women's heads. They each have an apple in their mouth. Then this other fucking head that doesn't have a nose or a mouth, just these like beet red eyes, just like winks
Gives
at
you
you.
the old wink.
Yeah.
Here's a question, Dave. Maybe you'll know. What's the whole gimmick with the apple in the mouth? Like when you're like
Like
they
pigs?
got
When you roast
the
a pig?
on like a spit and they got the apple. Like what is that? Is it for flavor? Is it?
I mean, when you
to keep
roast
the
stuff, you
mouth
put
open?
aromatics like, onions and garlic and citrus and apples and inside the roast.
Maybe that's what it was then.
I assume that's where it originated with the pig.
Hmm.
I've never done a whole pig. I guess I'm not real sure.
I think we should do that. Necronama pig.
It is tasty.
We'll invite all of our listeners.
Pig roast this summer, all the listeners?
Block party in front of your house.
Okay.
We'll close off the streets. We'll
Sounds
do a live
great.
broadcast from the driveway, and we'll just roast a pig.
That'd be amazing.
If everyone can bring a side dish, that would be great. And we'll get, a couple hundred kegs of beer.
We're going to need it.
Yeah. All right, it's planned. We'll see you guys in June.
Then a man walked into this hallucination. This guy, and this is not real. This guy's also part of the vision, but this guy walks into the vision, and Joseph assumed that this was the woman who lived in the house's husband. The perfect waiter sat this guy down at the table, blindfolded him, and then the guy started to eat. So he's eating all the insides and everything. After the man was done eating, the perfect waiter cut off his genitals and his head, and then placed his head on the table and put his genitals in his mouth.
That wasn't very nice of the perfect waiter.
And with that, the vision was over, and Joseph fully believed that all of these people were dead and God's will had been done. And he called to Michael, told him that they were done there. Everyone was dead, so they left. And meanwhile, in reality, everyone was just sitting there tied up, but Joseph fully believed that this had all really happened.
Yeah. Well, our work is done here, son. Let's skedaddle.
Yeah.
Pack on up.
I mean,
Meanwhile, what's the son thinking? Like, Dad, we've literally done nothing. I should expose our faces and tie these people up. Now you tell me to leave.
yeah, that's what I mean. I think Michael was more of a not willing person than it's claimed to be. On January 8th, 1975, in Livonia, New Jersey, Joseph again had Michael knock on a door, and when a woman answered, Joseph pushed his way into the house. The woman tried to tell Joseph that her grandmother was upstairs, but Joseph forced this woman to take off her clothes and start walking upstairs to kill the woman's grandmother with a butcher knife that he brought. As he was walking upstairs, the doorbell rang, and like last time, this woman had people coming over to her house. At the door was the woman's sister and her sister's son. Joseph brought them inside, forced them to strip, and after they were restrained, the doorbell rang again. Joseph answered the door with his gun, ordering 2 more women and a man inside. Once they were restrained, the doorbell rang again. This was a young woman named Maria Fashing, but this time Joseph just opened up the door and greeted her nicely.
Hey, how's it going? We're having a little lunch. And
She was a friend of the family and initially thought that Joseph was also a friend of the family that she had never met. It's like, oh, all right.
that makes sense. I mean, who else is going to be answering the door?
Right, this fucking lunatic.
I didn't realize luncheons were so popular back in this day.
I like luncheons.
I guess the only luncheons I've been to are like work luncheons. I've never been to like a house luncheon.
Just people getting together to have.
Let's have a
lunch.
luncheon together sometime.
Let's do I like a luncheon.
Necronama luncheon.
And some cold cuts.
Yeah.
Sure.
Listeners invited. Bring your own side dish.
Limit it to patrons, maybe.
Ooh, there's a tease. We haven't said what tier yet, though, either.
So this Maria Fashing woman, she fought back and started to try and untie everybody, but stopped when Michael pointed a gun at her and told her to stop. As he was tying up Maria, Joseph noticed a butcher knife like the one that he had on him floating through the air, and on the end of it was his own penis hanging off of it. Then Charlie floated into the room and told Joseph he had to cut off a penis today, and there would be no debate about it, nothing. It had to happen.
Penis has to come off.
Yep. In that moment, Joseph had another vision. In this vision, there was a long hallway with portraits of people, all from his past, like his parents, his ex-wife, just all these people, and they were all making fun of the size of his penis. When the vision stopped and Charlie was still there staring at Joseph, Joseph asked Charlie, quote, "Cut off my own cock?" And Charlie replied,
Not yours, jerk off. The big guy on the floor. His cock.
I like this Charlie guy.
Joseph
Motherfucker.
Joseph picked up the man and took him down to the basement of the house. Joseph tied the man to the water pipe and pulled down his pants. Then he went upstairs and randomly chose Maria to come down to the basement with him. And he said later on that this was just completely random. It could have been anybody up there. Once they were in the basement, Joseph told her, quote, "Bite off this man's penis or die." And Maria told him that she would rather die. And without hesitation, Joseph stabbed her in the side of the neck with a butcher knife and then multiple times in the back. But she didn't fall down. She was tied up still. She had, like, everything was still tied, but yeah, she didn't fall down.
That's wild.
Yeah. Like, no, like, that's what I mean. It's so, his crimes are so sporadic, you know what I mean? Like, other ones, the vision stopped and he's like, oh, all right, I'm not going to do this. But then this time he just, like, no hesitation. I don't know if it's because Charlie told him, like, 100% you're doing shit today or what. So as she stood there bleeding, Michael yelled out from upstairs that one of the women that they had tied up got away. So Joseph took off upstairs, but he looked back at Maria, who was still standing, and Joseph said that she was just shuffling left and right, and he said she looked like she was dancing.
Yeah, that's what she was doing, asshole.
That's creepy as fuck, though. Just that description.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that is weird about, like, the dancing thing.
I wonder if she really was, or if he was just...
Well, probably passing out and just trying to stay on her feet.
Well, real life story. I read a report when Jim the Anvil Neidhart died about a year or so. I don't know, was it 2 years ago? I read a report. He woke up, like, in the middle of the night and went to go check, like, the thermometer. He was, like, real hot or something, and his wife was, like, behind him, and she said he was checking it, and then he, like, froze and turned around and, like, looked like he was about to, like, do, like, the cha-cha and fell over dead.
Oh,
That's
Like,
weird.
his body, like, kind of, like, froze up and, like, tensed, and then he, like, fell. Like, it looked like he was ready to dance and then went down. And that always kind of creeped me out. Like, that was just weird.
it's freaky.
Also sad that he died, but
That's
yeah.
weird.
I don't know. So that when I read that, I was like, that's what it reminded me of when I read that report.
So they ran out the door and stopped at a local baseball field where Joseph took off his jacket, tie, and dress shirt and used a puddle of water to try and get the blood out of his clothes. It wasn't working, so they kept running, and they got to a green shed, and Joseph threw his clothes in there and left. Then they hopped on a train to New York City and got some pizza. I mean, it's just
This
so
fucking family loves pizza.
so random. After they made it back home, Joseph had assumed they got away with all of it, that there were,
Yeah. Sure covered our tracks today, good, son.
Police investigated Joseph after they found the bloody shirt, and it had his last name sewn into it.
Goddamn.
That's great.
And after eyewitness testimony that he and his son had been seen in the area, they're like, yeah, this fucking kid's, like, knocking on my door, and his dad. The police looked into him, and Joseph and Michael were arrested on kidnapping and rape charges and eventually charged with 3 counts of murder in New Jersey. And Joseph pled insanity. He was found sane and sentenced to life in prison on October 14th, 1976. And Michael was judged to be under his father's control. He was sent to a reformatory. He went to, like, he had, like, some foster parents and stuff. And then when he was cleared from probation and everything at 21, he moved out of the state and changed his name. It's never spoken about this, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, right.
I know Flora Schreiber tried to track him down for the book and got a hold of, like, his foster parents or whatever, and they were like, yeah, no. He doesn't want to talk about it. We're not talking about it. That's that.
So he might be out there walking around today?
He probably is. He was 12 years old and when all this went down, so.
He's probably, 60-ish?
Yeah.
Well, somewhere around there.
So hopefully he was able
That's
to.
scary.
Well, if he didn't want to be there, which I personally lean towards that he didn't want to be doing this stuff, because this is all going off of what Joseph had to say about things. So Joseph made several suicide attempts in prison, including attempting to set himself on fire. He had also attacked tons of inmates, and he was finally transferred to a mental hospital in Trenton, New Jersey. He was then transferred to a mental hospital in Philadelphia on May 18th, 1979. Flora Schreiber, who we talked about a bunch, was the author of the best-selling book Sybil, interviewed Joseph in jail in 1976, and she based this on her book that was published by Simon & Schuster, The Shoemaker, The Anatomy of a Psychotic in 1983. Later, this book fell under the Son of Sam law and was bought by one of the victim's families, since Joseph received royalties from this book. I think he got like a 10% cut or something.
Really? That's interesting.
Because now they can't sell shit. Like prisoners can't, because of the Son of Sam law.
They can't profit from their own crimes.
Yeah. A judge awarded the family the earnings from not only Joseph, but Schreiber and Simon & Schuster as well, leaving Schreiber with nearly $100,000 in personal debt due to expenses of the book's research, including phone calls to Joseph in prison, which totaled $1,200 per month for several years.
That's not good for her.
No, it's not. She shouldn't have given him the royalties.
That doesn't seem right.
You know.
I don't know how I feel about that. Like you can't tell me I can't write a book about something just because.
No, I think she should be fine.
Yeah, she should be fine.
But that's
I don't think he should be able to get a cut of anything.
No, I agree with that, but that's not how this initial judge ruled, though. Right?
Yeah.
It took
right,
all
that's
of
what
her-
I'm saying.
Yeah.
But where she went wrong is where she was giving him a cut, I think is what
I
we had said.
suppose. But still.
I don't think she should have a penalty for this.
No.
Yeah, she should be able to write whatever book she wants.
Well, years later, that she was awarded, it was switched to where Joseph's royalties were the only ones required to be given to the
All right.
family.
Well, that makes
so they went back on it. Michael Korda, the editor of Simon & Schuster, said that for many years he received a Christmas card from Joseph from jail. And Flora Schreiber said that she grew close to Joseph during the writing process, and they regularly exchanged letters and phone calls until Flora died in 1988.
Well,
and Joseph died of heart failure on March 26, 1996 at SCI Crescent, which was a mental institution. He had spent the last 11 years of his life on suicide watch and in solitary confinement because he was so violent and
couldn't even let him out to be around people.
nope. No, and he probably, well, I'm not even going to say probably, he definitely should not have ever been sent to a regular prison.
Yeah.
He should have been found guilty on reason of insanity.
Don't they force like antipsychotic meds on you when you're locked up like that?
Yeah.
Never did anything.
It's, yeah, and he's a guy that I don't think, he didn't have a chance from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, when you have it beat into your head that you have a demon living inside you, and then all of a sudden then schizophrenia pops in.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do from there?
It's
Don't disagree.
hard to get better from there.
Yeah. And I think with like how sporadic his crimes were, I mean, he should have been, reason of insanity. He didn't try to cover anything up,
Yeah.
really. He just left his fucking shirt laying there that had his last name on it.
And so do you think he forgot some of those for real?
I don't
Forgot
know,
some of
because some, like the one with where the 5 people were tied up, that his vision, they were killed, and he thought that was real. When people kept coming in, ringing the doorbell, he thought that was great. He was like, "Oh shit! Well, I haven't even kicked this off yet, so now I got 5 to kick off my my murder spree of the whole world." So maybe he really did. I don't know. It's a very bizarre story.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's one of the crazier ones. We should make the movie and frame out all those
With Charlie,
all the hallucinations with Charlie and stuff.
the one
Hey, jerk off.
the one vision is nuts with his baby sitting
Inside
in
the
the
intestines.
What is it? The people hanging from the nipples?
yeah, the guy with the bat wings and the frog's head.
Man, if we could film those hallucinations.
It's like a crazy.
We'll get Olivia
acid
Wilde.
trip.
We'll get
Yeah.
Olivia Wilde to star as the woman.
Oh.
It's all coming together, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel bad. I mean, he killed people. He killed his own son and stuff. But I do feel.
He was a sick guy.
Yeah.
Obviously.
If he would have, like you said before, if he would have got help from the psychiatrist in the
Who
beginning,
met with him for 5 minutes.
yeah,
That's upsetting.
Quite possibly.
Give that guy the time of day. He's your patient.
right.
Give him a full assessment, tests. Maybe you'll save a life or tons of lives.
Like just maybe wait around, like talk a little bit.
Yeah.
Wait for him to mention those experiments on the hamsters or something.
You're right.
Like,
Or whatever the psychiatrists do, like, just for normal testing, like, just don't give a guy 5 minutes.
Yeah.
A lot of these stories we've talked about, it's like, well, if that one turning point wouldn't have happened,
Yeah.
who was the one dude that smashed up, like, was it the pet cat right in front of his mom?
Richard Chase.
Chase, yeah. And she just was like, oh, boys will be boys.
Let's get you your own apartment, Richard. We don't need any of that around here.
Yeah.
Just little things like, if you made the effort there.
He is Richard Chase if Richard Chase could have functioned in society a little better.
Although he couldn't wear an orange coat like Richard Chase could.
True. Yeah.
Nobody can wear that coat like Richard.
I think it's going to be my Halloween costume next year. Nobody will get it, but
I have one. You can borrow mine.
I'm just going to wear an orange puffy coat.
So that's Joseph Kallinger.
All right.
It's not delightful.
No, this wasn't the most delightful story.
It's pretty interesting.
It was interesting.
The hallucinations are interesting.
The hallucinations are kind of fun. The killings, not so much.
It's like, what did I text you? It's like a kid's movie from hell when
Yeah,
when Charlie shows up, like winking at him.
Hey,
and-
guys. Let's go kill people.
Ian, you got anything else to wrap this one up?
Nope.
Dave, what do you got for us?
I got nothing. I'm done.
You were speechless.
I'm shocked and awed.
And ready for a pillow. And we're going deep into the nighttime hours. All right, well, we got some Patreon shout-outs. We got a bunch this last week. We did pretty good. Also, we didn't mention at the top of the show, we have the new $1 Patreon level for anybody who just wants to help out the show for $1 a month. We'll give you a shout-out when you do subscribe to that tier. But new Patreon shout-outs for this past week. Thank you very much to Allie Motley, Aslahan, Angelina Schuler, Jennifer Pirtle, Allie Finland, Zachariah Melton, Sean Lamont, Gabrielle Frame, Jay, Achilles, Charlotte Johnston, Eric Streckfus, Dante, Samuel, Jason Lyons, Kaya Maverick, and Samantha. Thank you very much to all the new patrons. We really appreciate your support. It means a lot to us that you guys are willing to help out the show just for listening to us talk every week. So thank you very much. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon, we are at patreon.com/necronomipod. Ian, what shout outs we have from the reviews?
From iTunes, I have one for Brutally Blonde Wife, who she says that she hopes the Foster's commercial references come back.
Oh, Fabia? Australian Fabia? It's my favorite brand of beer.
It's the only thing they drink in Australia. And I think all of our Australian listeners have confirmed that time after time.
Yeah, they said it's delicious, and I don't think there's any other beer for sale there, so they don't really have a choice, though. They have to drink the Foster's Australian Fabia.
They love it. They love it there. They've told us that.
It's in that can, the Foster's.
It's in that big pounder. It's like a chode can.
Yeah.
It's a chode.
It's Australian Fabia.
Yeah.
And then I have one for Jessica 1118, 9-inch Nerds, Dolphin 77, Hale Muggs.
Hale Muggs, hope he's got a shirt. Or she's got a shirt.
I hope so. Get your Christmas shopping done soon.
While he's looking that up, merchandise is available. I don't know if you're going to make it for Christmas by the time this one comes out, because a couple days away. But go to Amazon, search Necronomipod. We have t-shirts, tank tops, long sleeves, and hoodies available in all of our designs that we've released thus far. Amazon.com, and you can just search Necronomipod. It all comes up.
And then my last one is for Hopster Me, also from Australia.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Love those Australian fans.
Yeah, we have
Actually-
a bunch of listeners from Australia. It's cool. I want to go there.
Me too. If we get enough, we can do a show.
I would love to do a live show there. Well, we just drink Foster's, right? On
Well,
stage.
it's the only beer they have there. Of course we will.
Can you imagine the party that would be, though? God damn, that'd be awesome.
Then we'd get bit by some crazy fucking spiders and we would end up being buried there.
Well, no. If I'm going out in Australia, I'm going out getting kicked in the head or punched in the head by a fucking kangaroo. Fucking a Nate Diaz motherfucking kangaroo coming at me. Dave, what do you got for us on the socials?
From Twitter, Mintamenapie and Space King Bobby. From Instagram, Mike Hatch and Jeff Bertrand. Thanks, guys.
And Jeff's the artist. He's the one that drew that, his own depiction of the Flatwoods monster. that he sent us.
Oh, yeah.
The picture.
I was looking at some of that dude's paintings. They're fucking badass.
He's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. We are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Necronomipod. Please feel free to give us a follow, reach out to us, send us a message. We love hearing from you guys. If you have any show requests that we might not have heard of, let us know. Can't guarantee we'll do them, but we'll add them to our list to definitely look into. And as always, thank you so much for the support.
All right, you guys ready for a cool down beer?
Cheers.